Welcome, everybody, to the Nuggets of Gold podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the two UNC running backs, which are Michael Carter and Javonte Williams. And if this is your first time checking out this channel, I'm Matt, and Aiden is right next to me. So, Aiden also is repping the UNC flag in the background. So, I'll let you start out, man. What do you think about these two? Do you think they're special players? How do you think their skills translate to the NFL?
Yeah, so I'm a UNC student, so I've seen these guys up close and personal over the past couple of years. Both really good players, but in very different ways. I would say Javonte Williams is going to go before Michael Carter. I think he arguably could go before Etienne. He's my RB3, but a powerful guy, 5'10", 220. So he's not the fastest guy. I think he runs like a mid 4.5 40. So he's not necessarily like a burner, but he's one of those guys that is going to break the first tackle 90% of the time, at least in college. And he was so fun to watch as a UNC player last year. Michael Carter, on the other hand, is undersized. He's only 5'8", and he's listed at 5'8", which means he's probably a little bit shorter. But he's one of those guys that I think would be similar to what Kyle wanted Jerick McKinnon to be, a guy who can catch passes out of the backfield. And a guy who lit up the Senior Bowl, also can run the rock. He had 1,200 yards last year.
Yeah, so let's get into Javonte Williams a little bit first. He's 5'10". Well, this is what he's listed at. He's listed at 5'10", 225. I would assume that if he was going to be taken by the 49ers, it would pretty much have to be that 43rd pick. That would be around there, or a trade up or a trade back. But that's early second round range, I think, is where we'd all expect him to go. He runs like kind of low, and he runs like has like a downhill running style. He's a pretty good route runner. He's not super fast. Doesn't make a lot of guys miss in space, but he wins with contact and physicality, and that's why he has that downhill running style. Because I think you said that he had 7 yards per carry, but like 4.5 of them were average or after contact. So insane. And if you just like flip on some like film of his, like you'll see right away, like, okay, the first guy's getting dragged a couple yards, even on plays where he's losing a yard or losing a couple. There's initial contact, and then he falls forward about 2 or 3 yards. It seems like almost routinely, but I don't really know how he would like. Of course, like anybody can come in and play, be a successful running back in Kyle's system. I feel like, and I guess we've kind of like learned that, like, hey, you can get so many different players out there. I don't think he's like the perfect fit, though. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I think to give kind of a comparison, he would be a souped up Jeff Wilson.
I like it.
He would be Jeff Wilson if Jeff Wilson was probably 15 more pounds younger, and he would just be a better version of Jeff Wilson, which I don't think that's necessarily worth taking in the early second.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen that Kyle likes a lot of guys that, they're the home run hitters. He's not exactly that home run hitter. He's a guy that you give the ball to 20 times, and, he picks up 80, 90 yards and has a touchdown, and he's a good goal line player, and he's more of that complete running back. And let's get into Michael Carter here, but you said he's like listed around 5'8". He's around 200 pounds, 195 to like 205 range. If you want to ever watch a highlight reel for a running back in this class, watch his game against Miami. I think he goes for like 300 yards. Someone commented that, and so I watched it, and I was like, okay, this is a fun guy to watch. He's pretty short, super quick, wins with that like horizontal movement. Very, very athletic. He's like a quick twitch guy where he'll go up to hit the hole, make a cut, and then boom, he's off to the races. He's very fast as well, a lot faster than Javonte. At least on film, it seems like it. But when I was kind of watching him, I don't know if you feel the same way, but he reminded me, not as this player and size and everything, but his running style almost reminded me a little bit of Aaron Jones, which is a good comparison because we've seen Aaron Jones flourish in this similar system that the Niners run. So I definitely like Michael Carter being the pick opposed to Javonte Williams if it was going to be one of these two guys. Not only because I think Michael Carter's a better fit in the offense, but also because he's going to probably go a little later. And we were talking about this before. You were thinking like the third to the fifth round, and probably the fifth or sixth running back off the board. But what do you think? Do you think that Carter's the better fit for Kyle?
I think Carter would be a fantastic fit for Kyle. I mentioned it really quickly, but I think he could take over that Jerick McKinnon third down running back role. He's not a burner. Like he's somewhere around mid 4.4, which obviously is super fast, but not like Raheem Mostert speed, even though most people aren't like that. And people forget that Jerick McKinnon was a burner before kind of injuries sapped that athleticism a little bit. But I would say Carter's more quick than fast. He's faster than you would expect him to be in the open field, and you often see like defensive backs kind of misjudge angles. Javonte Williams as well. And to talk a little bit about that Miami game, Javonte Williams also had 230 yards in addition to Michael Carter going for 306. So if you're ever bored and want to watch him really demolition, watch the UNC running backs go off against that Miami defense. It'll make your night.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I didn't know how good Javonte's game was, but I remember seeing like, oh, Michael Carter went for 300, and then Javonte had like a star performance as well. So I was like, ooh, not a good look there for Miami.
One of
um,
those things, yeah.
so what would you think about the Niners taking either? I guess is it a yes or no to Javonte at 43 for you? Because for me, it's a no. I just don't think that the fit's exactly there, and it's not to knock him. Like he can go
Mhm.
somewhere else and be a great NFL player. I definitely believe so, but don't think he's like that prototypical running back for Kyle's system. I don't think you'd want to acquire him at that 43rd pick area. Do you agree with me on that, or you think I'm
I would
wrong?
agree. I don't think it would be a bad pick, but given the people that could also be on the board, like an Elijah Molden, who we've talked about, and say Etienne is still on the board, I think Etienne out of Clemson is a better fit than Javonte Williams, even though I'm probably biased and I'm going to say that Javonte is a better player. May or may not be true, but I think fit matters a lot more than I guess just raw ability in terms of running backs. I guess.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. I mean, we've seen guys that are undrafted. It's like, oh, he's really good at this one skill set. He can run in this specific offense, and then we see him go to the NFL. Oh, look at this dude. He's he rushed for 1,000 yards as a rookie. I mean, we see that all the time. We saw it last year with James Robinson in Jacksonville. So I mean, all like that's the thing about running backs. It's super fun because I think at the end of the day, like a lot of guys, like they're not able to translate into the speed of the NFL, but there's guys that come from all over the draft. So it's really cool to see that. I will say to wrap this up, let's kind of talk about Michael Carter potentially being taken. And you can start, Aiden. Where would you take him if he's on the board? Where do you first take him?
I think it depends on who we pick in round 1 and round 2. But if he's on the board in round 3, I'm looking hard at it. It's kind of one of those things I liked in our mock that we did last week. You guys should definitely check that out. We got one of those running backs from Louisiana Monroe, I think. I'm not a huge fan of picking a running back high. I'm not a huge fan of paying running backs. I'd say ideal case is Michael Carter, probably in the 5th round. I think he goes before that. I think he probably there's a good chance he doesn't make it out of the 3rd round. But if he's there at 3, you obviously consider it. But I think we have more pressing needs than 2nd or 3rd string running back. But yeah,
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. And I'm thinking like because their third round pick is a comp third, so it's right at the end of the third. Then their fourth round pick is pretty early on. So maybe there's a guy that they're looking for. They take him at the end of the third, and there's a couple other guys that they're like, hey, we could take this guy in the fourth round. Those guys get taken, and it's almost like, okay, let's just go with the Michael Carter pick. We view him as a second round grade or something like that, where it's like, okay, we're getting the value here. I think that's the only spot you do it. If that's the 5th round as well, I also agree with that. Like, don't be reaching for a running back. Like that's something that we don't want to see. And unless I'll say this, unless it is Hall of Fame talent, but I don't think that we're gonna look at Javonte Williams or Michael Carter and say like, oh, these guys are Hall of Famers. Like, and they could be fantastic pros, but I don't think we look at them like a Najee Harris or an Ezekiel Elliott coming out of school where it's like, okay, this dude is the real deal. And so I don't know. I'm with you on that. I don't think you need to take it super high. Especially for Michael Carter because he is almost like oh, he would fit this offense really well. And that's why it's exciting and definitely could be a case. But if he's there and they take him, I mean, expect him to ball out. That's what I'd say as well with that. So I think that's going to do it for today. But we just wanted to get something quick out there because we talked about Najee Harris a while back. So that's going to do it for today, though. And make sure to come back, subscribe, check out 49ers content. We'll be talking about the draft up until it and then going over all of their picks. So that's going to do it for today. But thanks, everyone, and we'll talk to you guys soon.